This copyrighted broadcast, presented exclusively on GIAA.TV, is copyrighted by the Georgia Independent Athletic Association, a division of the Georgia Independent School Association, for the private use of our audience. It may not be retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or otherwise distributed or used in any form without the express written consent of the Georgia Independent School Association.
Welcome in, everyone, to another edition of the High School Football Scoreboard Show presented by the Beck Center. We are live here on this Friday night, semifinal night, as winners. We already know who's going to be in those state championships. What up, Big Rich?
Hey, what's going on, Thrift? Glad to talk about these semifinal games, and I can't believe that the championships are going to be next week in Macon.
All right, so we got a ton of scores. Well, not a ton. We have 8 scores we're going to be getting into. We already know who's in the 1A classification. It is going to be Richard, rematch from last year, Edmund Burke, and Robert Toon. So we can't wait for that. That will be next Friday, on GIAA.TV. We are presented by the Beck Center. We've had a lot of fun all season long, and I know everybody's tuning in right now. So let's just go ahead and do it, Big Rich. Let's look at the scores. All right, first one. Westminster takes down Vidalia Heritage. We thought it was Vidalia and Sherwood collision course. Westminster says they'll have none of it, and they get a big win, 29-8. Richard.
Yeah, they took down the number 2 seed of Vidalia Heritage. And how about Westminster Schools of Augusta? They got a big win, and they've had just an incredible season all year long, and it started with their running attack with Porter Grenalds, and he's had 14 touchdowns all season, and he's really been tremendous on the defense. TJ Daniels has been big as far as being a big playmaker in the secondary, and they are looking to get back and try to make a big playoff splash. I know that last year I'm looking at their season last year. It's another rematch of a state championship. It seems like
I was going to say that, Rich.
Yeah, we got
last year's state championship. So good win by Westminster. All right, let's continue on. Other 8-man football. Sherwood Christian was playing, Richard. And Sherwood Christian got a big win over Georgia Christian, 30-7. So Sherwood, Westminster, 8-man football next Thursday, GIAA.TV. Big Rich.
Well, the defending champion, Sherwood Christian, they had no problem taking down their rivals, Georgia Christian, 30-7. Just like last year when they beat them in the regular season, Sherwood Christian looks like they're going to be the favorites. And I think that they have just been firing on all cylinders. This team, led by Quentin Murray, 125 yards a game. He had 16 touchdowns this season. And he's also been incredible as a DB with 3 interceptions. And Trip Roberts, you remember that name from last year's 8-man championship?
Pretty good football player.
44 touchdowns through. 44.
Unbelievable. Wow. What a job. Sure.
Wow.
With a big win over Georgia Christian. Let's continue on. Let's go to 2A football.
2A.
How about Brentwood with a big win over the Briarwood Academy Bucks, 42-14. The Fighting Adam Lords are trying to go back-to-back. Brentwood cements their legacy. By the way, 8-man football championship will be 5 p.m. next Thursday at Mount the Sales. 5 p.m. Sherwood and Westminster of Augusta. And now also the 1A classification, Richard, which we talked about. It's already been decided. That's at 4:30 next Friday. So 4:30 next Friday, Robert Toons and Edmund Burke. You catch all of it on GIAA.TV. But Brentwood beats Briarwood 42-14.
Brentwood has had a special season. Their only loss was to John Millage. This 2A team has got a just incredible dual threat running back in Tristan Robinson, who's got 17 touchdowns. And one thing, and Baylor Kopp, their quarterback with 19 touchdowns. One thing about 8-man football or 2A football, lower classification, as you got a team that might have they dress just 30 players. And so you got a lot of players that play both sides of the football. And that's the type of player that Baylor Cobb is. I'm excited to see Brentwood back in the state championship. We talked to Coach Adam Lord last year on the road to Statesboro. Can't wait to talk to him again on the road to Macon.
In the other game, Southwest Georgia beat Southland in a rematch, 42-7. Dominant game as they played each other in the end of the regular season to see who was going to be that number 2 seed. So we got a rematch of 2A. So we got a rematch of 1A, rematch of 2A, and 8-man. So 3 rematches already we have as Southwest Georgia dominate Southland to take on Brentwood next week. And that game will be, Richard, at 3 p.m. next Saturday. Next Saturday, 3 p.m. from 5-Star Stadium at Mercer.
Cannot wait for that. Southwest Georgia Academy out of Damascus is a team that likes to run the football. They do a little old school. They have had I wouldn't say they had a down year. I mean, 9-3. They did lose to Deerfield, Windsor, Brookstone, and a public school out of the GHSA, Atkinson County. But they took care of business against Robert Toombs. I mean, that was the defending single A champion. They had no problem beating Southland Academy twice in a couple of weeks span. So they're back in the state championship, and let's see if Southwest Georgia Academy can try to spoil the party and get a state championship.
Yep. All right. So from 2A, we'll go to 3A. And how about John Millage? They just do John Millage things, which is dominate. And they are back to Macon. Kind of like a birthright for John Millage. It seemed like they made 7 straight after not making it last year. Back at Macon, they dominate Frederica 35-7. John Millage to the state championship.
I'm going to say this, Thrift. Asa Wall might be the best tight end in Georgia. He is just a physical specimen. I don't care if it's GIAA. You've seen what Asa Wall has done for John Millage. He is a game changer. He reminds me a little bit of Brock Bowers. I think that John Millage is going to utilize him to his full potential to try to carry on his back to get and win a state championship. What John Millage has done, their only loss was to Athens Academy, and that's not even a team in the GIAA. They've dominated everybody on their schedule. They have beaten 4A teams. They have beaten all classifications of the GIAA, and they've had a special season, and they're back to their original form when they rattled off what was the record? Like 80 straight wins. I mean, it was something crazy.
Incredible. They're back at it again, and we expect them to be up to the challenge, trying to get back their first state championship since 2022. The team they'll be playing played in it last year, and they took down Westfield 26-14. Deerfield Windsor back to the championship in Macon. We have undefeated Deerfield Windsor taking on 1-loss John Millage. It could be the game of the entire weekend in Macon. They will face off, Richard, on Friday at 7:30. That is 7:30 at Macon, Mercer 5-Star Stadium. You can watch it on GIAA.tv. And the cost is the same cost for 2 adult tickets to watch the state championship games that day. Deerfield Windsor takes down Westfield, and they are going to be taking on John Millage next Friday night.
Lane Seals, one of the best quarterbacks in the state of Georgia, 33 touchdown passes. He leads the GIAA in passing yards and touchdown passes. And he's got some weapons to throw to. Gabe Daniel, David Hutchins, Bradley Mitchling. We remember these guys from the state championship last year when they beat Valwood. And remember, Deerfield Windsor was coming in undefeated, and they were behind John Millage because of the strength of schedule. Deerfield Windsor's got something to prove against John Millage. They feel they're the defending champions. They felt disrespected that they were not the number 1 overall seed, but they're finally here in the state championship, and Friday night is going to be off the chains. I'm looking forward to the state championship matchup between Deerfield Windsor and John Millage, and I can't wait.
So from 3A, let's go to 4A. And in 4A classification, number 1 team, Stratford, takes down George Walton. They were up 21-0 in that first half. They never looked back. Stratford back to Macon, first time since 2022 when they lost to Pacelli for the state championship. Stratford takes down undefeated George Walton. The Bulldogs had a great season. They finished 11-1, and Stratford to Macon.
Yeah, once Tyler Stevens went out with that injury, I started questioning, can Stratford Academy find somebody else to carry the load? And they did just that. Aaron Jefferson, only a freshman, was able to get the load. And Tucker Johnson, a sophomore, they've been relying on them in the ground game. And you lose a chunk of that offense. Tyler Stevens had 20 touchdowns for Stratford. And they don't really pass that much. I mean, Tucker Johnston only had 11 touchdowns this season, but the fact that they beat a George Walton team that was undefeated. Say what you want, George Walton was ranked the way they were because of the strength of schedule, but Stratford takes care of business. They're back in the state championship where they feel they belong, and it's going to be in front of a home crowd. I mean, a Macon school that makes it to the state championship that's being held in Macon, there's something special about that, and Stratford deserves to be here.
The team that will be taking on is Brookstone as the Cougars take down FPD in a defensive clash, 13-0. Broughton Branch was efficient. The offense made the plays they needed to, and that defense was lights out, shutting out FPD. They beat them earlier this year. They sweep them, and Brookstone back to Macon. Since 2023, they'll take on Stratford. Big win for the Cougars and Ian Headley's first season on the job.
Yeah, and Brookstone is going to be taking on Stratford Academy again. It's going to be the rematch. Stratford Academy gave them their first loss of the season back on September 19th, 41-14. And Coach Headley would probably tell you there was a lot of mistakes that were made, and Brookstone is hoping to clean up those mistakes. If that defense plays the way they did against First Presbyterian Day, I think the Brookstone Cougars would win, I believe, their first state championship because they used to be in the GHSA. I got to go back in the history books to see, but definitely first in the GIAA. And what a historic season that the Brookstone Cougars had. And they're out for a little revenge because they lost to Stratford in the regular season, and they feel that they can have a better showing next time.
So those are your champion. Those are your 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A, and 8-man. We'll take a break. We'll do a quick preview, talk about what we got coming up next week and more. It's a high school football scoreboard show presented by the Beck Center in Georgia, Alabama. On GIAA.TV.
Founded in 1985, the Georgia Independent School Association proudly represents nearly 170 accredited private, independent, and parochial schools across the state. From Tallulah Falls to St. Simon's Island, from Columbus to Augusta, our schools serve over 76,000 students every year. Whether parents are interested in smaller class sizes, more individual attention, a religious-based curriculum, or a safe and structured environment, the GISA provides a strong education, which is the foundation for success. To learn more about the GISA and how they can serve your school, visit us online at www.gisaschools.org.
GIAA.TV now brings you more live coverage of more sports than ever before. Announcing GIAA.TV Lite with live coverage of swim, wrestling, cheer, and more. GIAA.TV Lite is the next best thing to being there. From one screen, you will hear the crowd, see the action, the scores, the stats, and more. With no play-by-play or instant replays, GIAA.TV Lite is half the price of our regular broadcast. Announcing GIAA.TV Plus. With all of your fan favorites, GIAA.TV Plus now adds volleyball, softball, all-star football, and more, featuring all the play-by-play, instant replays, multiple angles, and more, all for less than the cost of 2 adult tickets to the event. Don't miss 1 second of the action all year long, only on GIAA.TV.
Welcome back, everyone, to the High School Football Scoreboard Show presented by the Beck Center here on GIAA.TV. All right, Richard, next week we have again on Thursday. Flag football playoffs start on next Tuesday. There's 6 teams. They'll have the first round and then the semifinals at 2 locations, and we'll have who's going to play in the state championship on Thursday at Mount DeSales. So that will be at 3 o'clock. Then at 5 o'clock, it's 8-man football, followed by All-Star game, all at Mount DeSales on Thursday. You can watch it on GIAA.TV. On Friday is the 1A classification, Richard, as Edmund Burke and Robert Toombs will go against each other at 4:30. And then at 7:30, it's John Millage and Deerfield Windsor battling it out in the 3A classification from Macon's Mercer University 5-Star Stadium. And then Saturday at 3 p.m., it's a 2A classification rematch of Brentwood in Southwest Georgia, 3 p.m. And then at 6 p.m., it's Brookstone. It's Stratford, rematch of earlier this year. What's your initial thoughts with that, Richard?
Well, starting with the flag football, I think it's going to be the same rematch as last year, Pacelli and Georgia Christian. I think that even though Georgia Christian's the number 3 seed, Mount DeSales is the number 2 seed, and they got a chance to actually be on their home stadium playing flag football. I like the fact that Pacelli and Georgia Christian were there last year, and we kind of seen a trend, with the exception of 3A and 4A, that all the other classifications have rematches of state championships.
Yeah, well, that we will be able, exactly right. We got 3 of the 5. So we're going to have flag, 8-man, 1A, 2A, 3A, and 4A. Actually, 6A championships we're going to be doing right now. We already we already got 3 rematches in 1A, 2A, and 8-man, potentially flag, and then of course 4A and 3A are not rematches of last year. So what's going to happen as far as content-wise? Just like last year, we had the road to Macon. Well, we got that this year. We're going to sit down and interview all 12 coaches that are going to be playing for the state championship, both flag football coaches. We're going to be interviewing both 8-man football coaches, Westminster, Augusta, and Sherwood Christian. Richard, we're also going to be doing 1A, Edmund Burke and Robert Toombs. We'll talk the 2A, Southwest Georgia and Brentwood, 3A's, John Millage and Deerfield Windsor, and then 4A, Brookstone and Stratford, all a part of Road to Macon. It will be on Wednesday night at 8 p.m. You'll be able to see all those interviews, an ultimate preview. Me and Richard will talk about every single matchup, every single game, and what our expectations are for those games. So should be a lot of fun. That will drop again on Wednesday. No Inside the GIAA. We're going to put that on hiatus, and we'll pick back up in basketball season in January. But right now, we're going to put a close on that, and we're going to end the fall season with the Road to Macon on Wednesday. Cannot wait to do that, interview all the coaches, Richard.
Yeah, I can't wait. I mean, we're going to be able to talk to the same coaches that we had last year. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm excited to see the new coaches, the coach from John Millage, the coach from Brookstone, the coach from Stratford. These are new coaches that we didn't get to talk to. Think about this, the 4A classification. Last year, it was Bullock Academy and First Presbyterian Day. We got 2 brand new teams that are in the 4A championship. For the 3A championship, we've got John Millage, and Deerfield Windsor was there before last season. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And the venues change. As much as I love Statesboro last year, and it was a great venue, and Georgia Southern did a fantastic job putting it on, it's back in Macon at 5-Star Stadium, the home of Mercer University. And I know that a lot of the teams close to Macon, like John Millage, Stratford, they're all excited that they can have their fans travel not that far to be in front of that crowd. And you have teams from Albany that are not that far away, and teams from Columbus that are only like an hour and 20 minutes away. So I really like the fact that the location has changed to Macon because it's in the center of the state. But even though Statesboro did a fantastic job last year.
All right. Well, thank y'all so much for watching. We've had a lot of fun here tonight. We will see you next time on the Road to Macon, Wednesday on GIAA.TV. Have a great night, everyone.
Night, everybody.